morning, Toastmasters.
Good morning.
I'm excited about this presentation because it involves a demonstration. We've had a couple of sample demonstrations. Bertha, I think you did a nice one with the cooking thing. And as I was preparing for this, I thought, what can I demo? I'm not a good dancer. I don't know how to do anything mechanical. I didn't know what I was going to do. But I decided one day when I was doing a chore that I've been doing a lot lately, and I thought, I think I can talk about this. So today my speech is about the prickly pear. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the prickly pear, but I have this in my backyard. My mother lived with us for 7 years, and she knew how to prepare a prickly pear. And I used to watch her, but I didn't really want to get involved. It just seemed too tedious, and it just seemed like it was too much hard work. But here's a picture of the nopal in our backyard. The nopal actually has three main parts to it. It has the leaf, which is called a pad or a paddle. It has the little small fruit, which is called the prickly pear, actually. In Spanish, the Mexican Spanish, this is called nopal. In the American English, it is called prickly pear. But actually, the portion of it that's the prickly pear is the little round fruit that has a beautiful flower on it. In my next slide, I will show you a mature nopal plant. This is actually in my neighbor's yard. My neighbor likes it. He uses it as a barrier, but I use it to eat. And so he said, help yourself. You can have as much as you want. So here you can see a full-size nopal. Now, why am I talking today about this? One of the things is because I want to demo a tool that I use, but another reason is because this is very healthy. A lot of people would not consider that a nopal, something that grows in the dry desert, would be an excellent source of wonderful nutrients, vitamins. This nopal plant has been proven to help lower LDL cholesterol, which is the bad cholesterol. It's been useful to help in diabetes. A lot of people with diabetes will go on a nopal diet, and it really works. It's full of vitamins, full of nutrients, full of fiber. It is also has a mucilaginous, what they call mucilaginous substance or content, which is very helpful for digestion. So if you have digestion problems, this is a wonderful thing to have. Next slide, please. So there's a Spanish name of the prickly pear. It is called tuna. And the leaves of it are the pads or the paddles. Next slide, please. Okay, here's a close-up picture. I went out last night and I thought, you know, I need to try to get the needles or the spines. I call them needles because if they stab you, it's like you're getting stabbed with needles. And I'm going to share today with you demo the process of picking, peeling, preparation, and probably pain. So with that, let me get started. I have my, we can forget the slides. Okay, I have put in here the things that I've discovered because after my mother passed away, I saw all these prickly pears that come out in the spring, and I thought I don't want them to go to waste. So I decided I was going to start working on them. And I put this process together through much experience and much pain. The first thing I do is to set out some newspaper on a table outside and in a place that's not too windy, because if those little needles start flying, they go everywhere. So I get some newspaper and I set it out. And then I make sure that I have a pair of scissors. I have a baggie. I have some paper towels and very, very important, gloves. I tried different gloves. I tried gardening gloves and forget it. the gardening gloves get full of needles and you can never use them again, so you have to throw them away. These work pretty well, these vinyl gloves. They keep the needle from going in all the way, so you just kind of feel it and you know, okay, I gotta go pull that one out. Okay. And then, of course, I brought some samples. Okay. Now, I did not bring one with the needles on it because it's hard to handle, and I wanted to show you when you go out to pick them, there are different sizes typically. In my mind, from what I've discovered, this one is a little bit too small. You're not going to get much fruit when you do this one. This one is okay, but it's a little bit big, and as it gets bigger, they get harder, and they're not as tender and tasty. So in my mind, this one is probably the most appropriate size to cut. Now, the scissors are when you go over to the plant, you want to make sure you have scissors in hand. And I've kind of learned a technique, if it works for you, because they have to go somewhere so you can transport them from the plant over to your table. And if I do it just right, I can get underneath, cut it with the scissors, and where are my scissors? Cut it right at the bottom, the base, and try to not touch it if you have to, but if you do, go ahead like this. But if you don't have to touch it, and you can just get it and slice it, try to get it right into the bag, okay? Then, another thing I found is if you don't have scissors with you, say you're out in the desert and you're hungry and you know, oh, now I can eat these, you can actually break it off. It will break at the bottom if you just try to get in between. These are I call them the eye of the needle, because right in there is where the head of the needle starts. So what I do is when I first get them, I bring them over to my table, and with a paper towel, I fold it at least 4 times. And then, because the needles grow this way, you're going to want to go contrary to the needles. And I put them by the table on the newspaper, and I push this way. And then I turn around and push this way. Now the top usually has a lot of little ones, so you have to be very careful there. Once you do that, then you can use what my mother used, which was a little knife. She had a knife, and with that knife she went one by one. But I am here to tell you, I discovered a wonderful tool. This little tool is, a friend gave it to me at work, and she brought it in because she said it was very good for mangoes. And I had it even when my mom was living, but I didn't realize how useful it could be on a nopal. I don't know if you can see this well, but it has, like a peeler, it has a little groove right in here, and it's sharp, and it's bent, it's slanted. So when you push this over here, it's going to grab onto these little needle heads. So it really works great. And the other thing nice about it, it has a blade on the end. So I've learned that if I just go around and I just cut the top off, and I'll show you how I do that. I just get it and just cut it right off, and then I get rid of all those little ones that are really, really hard to handle. And then I'll show you quickly if you use it like this. And they grow diagonally, which is really neat. So you can start just to push it and go like this, and voila. So I have one that's already completed. This is what it looks like after you finish. It's very nice. And you can cut it up. It tastes like green beans or asparagus. It's a little bit tart, but you cut it up, boil it, and then you can prepare it. There are many recipes. Actually, I brought a recipe. The last 2 things that are very important is, after you take off your gloves, you're probably going to need a little magnifying glass and some tweezers, because there'll be a little sticky in there somewhere. There'll be a little needle, and they're really painful. They're like a fishing hook. They get into the skin and they catch on. So be sure you have this as well. But if you decide you don't want to go through all that trouble, because believe me, I think each nopal, I timed it, it takes about 3 minutes to do, and that's with my nice gadget. do what my sister does. My sister said, I think she's wiser than me. She said, Betty, why don't you just go to the store and buy them? They're already there. All right. With that, I would like to have 2 more minutes because I'm going to ask some questions only to the ladies that are in this room, and there are 3 ladies. And I brought, as a gift, today's word is gift, some new peelers that a friend of mine bought. Unfortunately, they no longer make them with the blade on the end because too many people were cutting probably off their fingers. And so now they only make them with the blade in the center. But you can use them for mangoes. Okay, who there can tell me how to take, of the women, there are 2 ways to take the pads off of the tree. What are the 2 ways? Raj? You don't qualify.
Let's start on Raj.
What are the 2 ways? Bertha?
Cut it off or break it off. Is that what you meant?
Yes. Cut it off how?
With, you use the scissors or with the knife.
Very good. All right. Please pass that to.
Winner.
Yay! Okay. One of the other things. How do you, what was a good question here. When you're rubbing off the needles, in which direction do you go? Either Nora or Shirley? Raj?
Tempted to get the.
Shirley?
Well, the opposite way of the way they
Opposite way. So they grow this way towards the front, so you're going to want to hold on to the base and brush it up this way, and then you can get the needles off. All right, Shirley, here we go. A gift for you.
Thank you.
So I hope the next time you decide to make nopalitos, you don't call me. And maybe you can do what my sister does and just go to the store, $1.99 on sale yesterday. Woohoo!
Which store?
Stater Brothers.
Probably a long time ago. Gonzalez.
I am done.